Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Pharmacy Seeds Network Thursday night question and answer live stream. Hello, Jim. Hello, Geeky. Hello, Cookie. Hello. Oh, I think that's everybody here. 4 likes and 3 of us here. Farmers lurking. I never like my own videos. I don't. I never like them. I mean, I like them. I mean, I made them, but I don't like them, if you know what I mean. Anyway, got the stream fired up here. Took a few minutes to get my proverbial manure together. Running irrigation cycle and a long work day, and I wanted to get a cup of coffee together. So, of course, I had to shave for live stream. Well, I don't have to, but you know, I like to try to look good because I know in 2 years I'll look back and go, oh, those videos were horrible. And at least I can be like, well, at least I shaved. Here for a little bit, then I have to pop out for a bit, have a client. No problem, Jen. Glad to have you. Glad to have you here. Java does not keep me up. Yes, it keeps me up. That's the whole point. Not the whole point. I mean, I love coffee, but that's definitely part of it. And I don't know if you know it or not, Jim, but I work very late nights on my farming operations. Like, there are nights that, most nights I'm done by 2 or 3 in the morning, or at least I try to be, because I like to be eating and crashing. Shave, what's that? But there are nights that I go till 6 or 7 in the morning working. I tend to work evenings and nights rather than daytime for lots of reasons. But probably the main reason is I'm just a night owl kind of person. YT, what's going on, brother? Welcome to the stream. Oh, you didn't know that? Yeah, I thought you knew that, Jim. I thought you knew I was a full-fledged night owl. Adult male night owl. Yeah. Well, so I've always been a night owl, and then when I had the greenhouse, then obviously I'm up late stoking the greenhouse. So then I used to switch springtime and go more of a daytime schedule, but now that my work is more flexible, I just work nights, and I prefer it. A welcome show right now. I can just relax. Oh, good. Well, just relax then. Welcome. I like your owl, Jim. Yeah, I don't know. So that's how I operate. I'm a weird person, but I guess most people already know that. Those that don't, now they do if they watch this video. Yeah, night owl and insomnia. I mean, that's the thing. I not only am I a night owl, a lot of the people I know are night owls. Most of them not quite as extreme as me. But yeah, so you know, it became an easy schedule for me, and then over time I just kind of was like, why should I go and like force myself to be a day schedule person when the night schedule works for me and I like it, and that's when I have energy and I'm awake. Lack of sleep, yeah. Well, I mean, that's what it used to be for me. You know, I'd work my full job, and you know, I kept a big garden even when I had a regular full-time job, and I'd go work my full-time job, come home, have a coffee, maybe a snack, go work in the garden till 10 or 11 or 12 at night. Then I'd go in, I'd eat, I'd crash. I get up and go to work the next day, and I do it all over again. And I just do that 7 days a week. So I'm running, you know, 20-hour days, especially when I was younger. Until I retired as a night person stuck in a day job. Yeah, that's what I was too. Like when I even wanted to work for the surveyor engineer, I would start at 10 rather than like the normal 8. But I would run till, you know, 6 or 7 or 8 o'clock at night if I had to finish the job. So my boss didn't care because, it didn't. I didn't. It's not that we didn't get work done. I just started later. Ah, yeah, that's a good point, YT. Sometimes I wonder if our European genes have us ideally on the other side of the globe's timeline. Maybe. I tend to think it's more of a light pollution thing. Actually, I think it's more of an interference with our light cycles, our circadian rhythms, and a big part of that is all this artificial lighting. Not so much like house lighting, but fluorescent lighting particularly is very high on the light spectrum, very high K rating. It's very blue in light, and same with computer monitors and phones. And they actually have an app for that to help people cope with that and reduce the effect on their circadian rhythms. It's called Flux. It's a free download, and it'll adjust your screen on your phone or your computer based on the time of day. It'll change the hue of the screen so that it's not such a blue light. Yeah, and frequency too. Yes, Jim, for sure. Yeah, there's several several energetic spectrums which are affecting us. Frequency, radio waves, microwaves, light frequency, infrared frequencies, and God knows what else that we're unaware of. So anyway, they make a program for that, and I tried that to see if, my circadian rhythm was just messed up. Is it just exposure to bad light? And I tried it for a month solid. I made a commitment to it, and it didn't affect my wanting to be up at night, my being awake at night. That's when my mind is going. So I just kind of had to go with it. Hate shop lights. Does not mix with me at all. It's funny because I used to have fluorescent lighting in the old place because the whole place was so dark. This place isn't actually a whole lot brighter. I used to have fluoro lights right over my computer tables. I like that light as far as being able to see everything. It's nice and clear, but it is an offensive light. I'll tell you when I really notice that stuff is if I go in and out a lot, like I do here. I'll come in and update the log on the computer for something I've done on the farm, or look at something to see when something happened. I'll come in, I'll go back out, and my eyes are all screwy, I tend to keep the computer screen in dark screen mode most of the time, so it's less offensive. But I definitely notice it. With shop lights and fluorescent lights. If I like in the greenhouse in the fall and spring, when I have the supplemental lights on in the greenhouse, when I walk in there, there's no way your eyes don't get exposed to that light. And I find when I come back out of there, I'm basically blind. So yeah, I hear you, YT. That was a long spiel about light, huh? Anyway, like a buzz, yeah. Planted my spinach late, only 3 weeks ago. It's doing good. Awesome. I planted everything late this year. My tomatoes are just, now they're like breaking the 2-foot mark. They're just starting into that heavy frame building phase where they explode in size. But it's been frustrating watching them and going, it's end of July. Normally I'd have tomatoes I could be eating by now, and I'm nowhere near that. But it's been a weird season for me. And I got lots of cover crops going in, so that's good, and those are germinating well because I'm irrigating the crap out of them. What else? Anybody have any questions or any topics you want to talk about, or anything like that? Eating your tomatoes already? Yeah, rub it in, Gemini. Rub it in. I always really look forward to my tomato sandwiches every year. That's a huge part of why I grow those big crimson beefsteak tomatoes. Because, excuse me, they're just phenomenal. I love making a toasted tomato cheese sandwich with them. Plan on starting a garden at some point. What do you suggest starting off for a newbie, plant-wise? What do you like to eat? Pick your favorite vegetables and start with those. And plan to learn like 1 or 2 plants a year on how to really truly care for them. And keep adding plants to your repertoire as you go. We just had this conversation on the radio net the other night. There's a new guy on the net who wants to start a garden, and he kept asking me what I recommended for him to start with. And I was like, well, what do you like to eat? Learn to grow that. But you could do something simple like beans, beets, peas. But I always recommend people grow what they like to eat, because it's easy to, at least for me, to see something, want to grow it, and maybe I don't even like to eat it. I just want to grow it because I want to learn how to grow it. You're just starting end of August. Yeah, what I should do is move down and help Geeky come November. Use Epsom salt to put minerals in the soil. I do sometimes, not as much as I used to, but that's because I have products that are specifically targeted with magnesium in them, along with the other trace minerals, especially for supporting photosynthesis. So that's manganese, zinc, copper, boron, sulfur, and molybdenum, I think, as the main ones that support photosynthesis. And then iron is another one, although it's not directly related in the photosynthetic process. Iron is a supportive part of that. But in direct response to your question, yes, I do use Epsom salts, which is magnesium sulfate, but not as much as I used to. But that works great. It's a great way to put both magnesium and sulfur in your soil. And I would I would say that's good. I got too many things going on in my head. I have to turn the brain off, or the other brain, whatever. But yeah, Epsom salts is good. Actually, Epsom salts is good for if you're not running specific foliar feed amendments like I am. An easy way to do that is to put it, I think it's a tablespoon per gallon. Mix it with slightly warm water, and then use a watering can and sprinkle that over your plants, and that'll make that magnesium and sulfur available immediately, directly to the plants. So that's a great way to boost magnesium. And if you guys don't know it, magnesium is it the center? No. Nitrogen in the center of the chlorophyll molecule with 4 magnesiums. Same shape as the hemoglobin molecule, which is iron at the center with 4 oxygen. So interesting how plant blood and human blood are similar molecular shape with different molecular components. So there's that. You're welcome, Jim. Whoop, whoop. Yeah, hit him with that water. What did you use for that water symbol, Jim? That's one I've been looking for a while. I can never find water. I always have to use ocean in chat. Ocean or shower. Is that just water? There's no way that's water, right? No. Faucet, maybe? Is that a faucet? I don't know how you got that emoji, Jim. We're all life, just have our differences. Yeah, exactly, Geeky. Exactly. How are things down your way, Geeky? You found it in the emojis. Yeah. I don't know, I couldn't find it. I tried faucet and water. Neither of those seem to bring anything like that up. I'll have to browse around. I mean, other than the hurricane scheduled for Saturday? Well, I mean, yeah. You put WAT in. Huh. I don't know, I don't get it. The closest I have to that is water wave and watermelon. So do you think that hurricane's going to hit you, Geeky? And water closet. That's got to be the dumbest emoji I've ever seen. Just what? W-A-T? Nope, not here. Are you on a phone, Gem? Or a different platform? I'm on a Windows 7 computer. Potable water is the emoji. Thanks, YT. Potable water. Why would they go and make that the longest phrase you could pick for that? Well, that's YouTube. What do you want? Thanks, YT. I won't forget that one now. And you got a no water spigot? You're on Windows 10, okay. I like the no water spigot. I don't know what I would use that for, but that's funny. I think it's curving to the east now. If it stays off the coast, it may just get some rain. Are you concerned about like high winds and damage, Geeky? I guess the reason I ask is because you never seem super concerned about hurricanes coming through when you talk about them. Found it the hard way. Oh geez, is that like water? Is that a water, yeah, it's like a pool floaty kind of thing. Wow, you're finding all the cool emojis, Jim. By the way I got the emoji was copy and paste it from here and paste it to the actual emoji in the search bar. Paste this text oddly enough and the emoji dictionary comes up. Ah, okay. Thanks, YT. Yeah, I guess I didn't go down the deep research train. Let me try that here. Yeah, find this. Google. Non-potable water. Yeah, okay. Interesting. Paste it straight into Google. Yeah, yeah. Marco Polo. Marco Polo. Play that on Skype sometimes, you know, when you try to talk to somebody on Skype and it glitches on you. You gotta play Marco Polo to see if they're still on the line with you. Teach to fish, you know. Yeah, I do know. I wish I had a clever Rickyism off the top of my head for that. You can put a man in the fish, but you can't put the fish in the man. Or something. I don't know, it doesn't work that great. I've been through a lot of them. Don't expect much wind if it stays on the coast. Northeast quadrant is the worst. Okay. Yeah, hope you weather the storm okay. Hope you just get good rain out of it, actually. It's funny. I went out to... hey, you like that, huh, Jim? I went out to move the irrigation right before the stream started. And it was sprinkling out there. And I was like, rain? What's going on here? Now I'm looking at the radar. Yeah, we got a little sprinkle line running through, but I don't think it's going to be anything significant. Give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a man a fish, you feed him for a lifetime. Yeah, no, I know. I was just trying to screw it up with the Rickyism. For the emoji thing. Yeah, I got you. I'm following you, YT. Yeah, I'm trying to think what a Rickyism for that would be, but I don't know. It's not occurring to me. The witty side of my brain is not functioning well tonight, I guess. I don't know. I'm kind of tired. Not enough coffee, or maybe just not enough water, I don't know. I never did rehydrate today after work. I've been just going. Came right home and raked some mulch. Shot a little video to upload. Started irrigation up. Mowed some more stuff for mulch. And I came in to get ready for the stream, and then I had to, I don't know, bunch of little, yes. Probably what I'll see unless it decides to come inland. Current prediction looks good, even staying off the coast and up to the Carolinas. Oh, nice. Any plans to automating portions of your farm in the future, if that's not too far? No, that is not far off topic at all. That's right on topic as far as I'm concerned. Yes, lots of plans to budget and time to develop and implement. I knew Geeky'd be down. Kiki's like, yeah, now we can finally talk electronics and digital and automation. Yeah, lots of plans to do that. I want to, excuse me, I want to automate as much as I can. The greenhouse is kind of the first phase and step of that. Unfortunately, took a lightning strike on the greenhouse this last lightning storm. I think it wiped out the Pi 4. Which sucks because that's an $80 computer board. At least it was when I bought it. Who knows? Maybe it'll go down a little bit, but probably not. So far, I have just the greenhouse stuff automated. I want to add a set of solenoid valves to the irrigation system, so that I can divert irrigation to various plots automatically. And in fact, my long-term plan is to use the Raspberry Pi or some processor Linux-based like that, basically as a farm server, and then use Arduinos in like the greenhouse and the growing plots and the chicken coop and all the various peripherals, so to speak, and tie that all back to a database on the Raspberry Pi server. Automate everything and deploy everything from the Pi. And then it's all controlled with Arduino-based microcontrollers, which will give you, reliability, cheapness of cost, low power consumption, that kind of stuff. Going to see if the ground Raspberry Pi and Arduino for lightning correction. Yeah, well, I screwed up on that because a friend of mine gave me a couple really nice. They're basically a terminal end for Ethernet cable, grounding terminal end. So it's a shielded cage so you can plug in your cable, ground that out, and then for my long run between the greenhouse and here, it's about 300 foot. Hey, V.Honey, how's it going? Welcome. Anyway, I think that's part of why it gets struck every year. But also, the greenhouse is loaded with one-wire sensors and power wires, and it's basically a Farad cage that isn't grounded. So for it to take lightning strikes, I suppose I'm not surprised. I basically lose a Raspberry Pi every summer to a lightning strike. And the funny thing is, I went out of my way this year. Every time I saw a big thunderstorm coming, I went out there, I pulled power, I disconnected the Pi, I shut everything down, thinking, I'll save it. And then this last storm, there wasn't as much thunder and lightning, and I kind of was like, well, how many times have I run out there, shut it down, and the rain doesn't come? So I didn't go down and shut it out, and then that's the one time I hear crack right close by, and I'm like, eh. And I went out to look in the greenhouse the other day, and I'm like, it doesn't seem to be booting up. And I didn't go any further into it because this time of year I have no time to play with electronics. But yeah, in short answer to your question, yeah, I do want to automate basically everything in the farm, and I want to tie it all into a database and basically build an independent data logging and farm management database system. So we're independent of service companies and Google and like all these other companies that are like invading our very everything. I like to keep my stuff separate from that and not be dependent on companies and their shifting policies and wavering whatever. Any thoughts on automation there, Chris? Any ideas on that? And how's life with you, Vida? Oh, you said great so far. That's good. What's going on in your world? Any plans for more mechanical automations for menial tasks? I can't say I have specific plans for that stuff, but every time I run into an issue, that type of thing is always in my head. The big one I want to conquer next really is I want to get switched over to no-till, and that means I need to develop planting seeding equipment that meets multiple parameters, because it's got to stay in my small range for now, because I just can't afford to go out and buy a machine to drag a rig with, let alone buy a no-till seeder. That type of equipment is expensive. Work, missing time in the yard, waiting for the world to turn. I hear you. I'm so sorry. I hear you. So the big one challenge next is no-till through heavy cover crops, basically rolling cover crops down. If you saw my most recent video on that, you roll the cover crop down and then you no-till plant right over it, and that gives you a heavy mulch layer that suppresses weeds, and it gives you a mulch layer that protects moisture in the soil and protects the soil, and you can basically grow the cover crop in place in the interim between regular crops. But the trick with that is having enough weight and pressure and the right edge to cut, the trench and get your seed in there at the right depth, close the trench back up and not leave a big gap in behind after planting where weeds can take and give you pressure. And then the flip side of that is not having enough weight and not being able to penetrate that. It's not really a straw mat, but it basically is, right? If you can't penetrate that and get your seed down deep enough, then they don't germinate. So, still interested in making your own solar tracker. Yeah, that's still on my list too. I want to add more panels and build a solar tracker for that whole array. Got the light detectors wired up, but haven't gone much further. No, he wasn't asking about robots. He was asking about just general mechanical automation equipment, and before that we were talking about automating equipment on the farm. More on the electronic side of things, but both sides of it apply. It's not over your head, it's just you walked in the middle of a deep conversation, well, a deep monologue, I guess. going to say conversation, but I guess I'm the only one talking. But, you know, we sort of are having a conversation through chat. Things like not having to bend over to turn off the garden hose. Yeah, I mean, I've done some stuff like that, like on the ram pump reservoir. I put in a shutoff valve, so you could shut so when the high reservoir is full, you could shut the high reservoir off and then pull from the pool or one of the other reservoirs, or take water direct from the ram pump. And that valve was like 25 or 30 feet over from the other valve, just because of the way the piping is positioned. And so that got to be a royal pain in the butt to have to, like, oh right, I have the upper reservoir shut off. I gotta get chicken water. So I'd go to open it. Oh right, it's not flowing. Go over, open the other valve, come back, fill the bucket, go back, close the other valve, come back, close this valve, right? So I finally put a linkage in there to the valve. So I have the one valve remote control. It's like, I don't know, 25 feet away, and then the other output valve is right there, so I can control both valves from the same position. So stuff like that, yeah, I do. I usually won't go as far as like not having to bend over to turn on a hose. That's not a big deal for me. But things that I realize take a lot of time and that I repeat a lot, then I'll tend to put that in my list of things to, like, hey, if we can like cut that 2 minutes of time out, 2 minutes 10 times a day, that's 20 minutes a day I'm screwing around with that, then I will, yeah. It really comes down to how it affects my time economics, and also how lazy I feel about something. Yeah, you did see that video. Oh, okay, yeah. Well, thanks. Yeah, that worked out good. I want to do other stuff like that. Like, I'd love to have a remote, a couple of different remote linkages to the ram pump for, like, turning the pump on and off, and like maybe opening the drain valve on the bottom so I could dump flush everything. But electronic valves can be run by Arduino off RPi. I was thinking of an irrigation system. Yeah. Hey, Justin, 2 shots of honey for being late. It's all good. How are you? That's 2 shots. A vision of Inspector Gadget. Yeah, I got several solenoid valves here I want to mess with Geeky. The first one I want to do, though, is I want to go back to the ram pump and monitor flow control on it and automate it and make it so that it's remote controllable to turn it on and off and automate it. Monitor water temperature and monitor inlet flow and pump output flow, both. But that's a project all in itself. I mean, it's obviously a lot of analog data to turn to digital data, collect, adjust for, and manage. I think I'm going to do an Arduino with that. The problem is you get up into those bigger solenoid valves, like this 2-inch solenoid valves. Buy those like on Amazon from China, they're $80. Buy them new in the US, they're a couple hundred, and it's like, come on, it's a valve, guys. Twist my arm. All right. Drink the honey. Hey, Taco. Wish I was a little earlier. Need to get a baby to bed when you come on. Sent you a MeWe message as well. Gave my thumbs up. Sexy man. Thanks, Taco. Alright, I'll check the MeWe after the stream here. Yeah, it'll be some fancy code. The bigger trick is getting the, I think I'm going to use sonar. Basically, Doppler sonar to do the volume calculation, at least on the bigger pipe, on the 2-inch inlet pipe. Because I can't find any low restrictive water sensors for metering water on a 2-inch line. that aren't A, crazy expensive, and B, restrictive in flow. And given it's such a low head system, I don't want to be restrictive in flow. So I'm thinking sonar for that. Yeah, YT, I do have plans to add DTMF to the greenhouse stuff for opening and closing vents, and turning on and off electric fence. That's a big one that I want on DTMF. So then my HT radio, a little handheld, I'd be able to turn on and off electric fence, turn on and off irrigation, all that kind of stuff. But again, you know, design time versus run time. The design time for that is a lot. But I did just talk to my friend Aaron, my engineer friend, and he said there's a new board out for decoding DTMF that interfaces directly to Arduino, and that'll help with that whole project. Won't be in long. Well, Nacho's getting ready for bed. That's okay. We get it, Taco. Won't, not, don't. We know what you mean. Won't, not, don't, shan't, can't. DTMF decoders are like 88 cents on AliExpress. Yeah. The problem is you have to put all the circuitry around those, because I don't want to just decode one digit. I want a security code, and then I want an array of codes for different stuff. And so it's a little more, there's a lot more addresses to basically have to have on there. And I'm not a circuit designer guy. Like, that's not what I do. My friend Aaron does. He makes his own PC boards, designs his own circuits and stuff. That's not what I do. It's a skill I'd like to learn at some point. I just don't have time for it because I'm already going 20 hours a day. How much for a jar of honeycomb? I think it's usually about $10 for a pound of honeycomb. Usually not sold in a jar though. It's usually in like a kind of like a raspberry container sort of. Under $1. Yeah, I know, but yeah, okay, you got it. Oh, a jar of honey for me? Yeah, I usually get like $9 or $10 a pound. You know, we'd have to factor in shipping, but we could do that. I got to get through honey harvest. Hopefully it all works out. I'm hoping to get a couple 100 pounds of honey this year, but we'll see how the bees do and the season goes. But yeah, if you're interested, we could do that. We could do that, Taco. Really need to automate more also. Spent 2 hours a day just watering. Yeah, exactly. That's part of why I've gone to using the foliar pump for irrigation, because I can throw the irrigation sprinkler out there and go do something else. Because otherwise I'd spend freaking 6 or 7 hours a day standing there with the hose watering stuff, and I don't have 6 or 7 hours a day to literally pee away. Sleep's overrated. Well, it is and it isn't. Let me know, I'll pay shipping. Alright. Sounds good, Taco. Awesome. Alright, sounds good. Excuse me, I got dust in my lungs here. Yeah, we'll see you in the portal, Taco. Give a little one a kiss for us. Kiss and a hug. Bad timing under the honey question. Hard to time the chat lag. Yeah, that's right. We'll work it all out. No lag. I was thinking of that for watering, but many actually like watering sometimes. So automation would have to be optional on at least a portion of the crop. Yeah. Well, and the other thing with the automation is, like, if you're going to automate watering, when you water, you basically have to overwater, because, well, I mean, you can do soil moisture sensors and all that kind of stuff, but at the end of the day, most of those aren't super reliable. So when your sensor starts to go, now you got your water coming on all the time. Like, you end up causing yourself problems. So it's better to like schedule it and like overwater a bit. But you know, that assumes that you have a supply and you're not trying to conserve energy that is basically unlimited. You know, most people have wells and they can just let the well do the thing. But here, I mean, we have a well here, but I'm not going to use the well for irrigation. So, luckily my garden is tiny compared to yours, so there's a simple drip line set up. Yeah. Yeah, see, that's, you know, like, the other complicating factor here, which is part of why I want to run this all through Arduino and databases, is crops vary in those sections from time to time. So it'd be nice to be able to alter the program based on what crop is in that block at the time and be able to assign presets and that kind of stuff. Yeah, soil moisture sensors not accurate until they get over the $200 range, industrial ones. Yeah. Yeah, and you can grab pH and stuff too. And I would love to have pH monitoring as well. Although at the end of the day, the biology regulates the pH in the actual root zone of the plant. But it's nice to be able to monitor pH and regulate soil pH when you can. Alright, good night VDOT. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. Some of my teas have leftover particulates, so they'll get clogged up in the emitters. And I'm not watering certain plants until I notice. Yeah, yeah. Like with my foliar pump, I run an 80 mesh filter on the intake side of the pump, because otherwise it would destroy my pump. Because same thing, there's particulates in there that would make a mess of things. So that's how I go around that, so it doesn't get into the foliar pump. And then on well, at least when I was running drip line and I do an injection of nutrient in the drip line, I wouldn't end up with clogged emitters in the drip line, because as you know, clogged emitters in the drip line will cause you more problems than you can imagine. You know, you think you're watering and then you wonder why half of your crop is wilting. Well, it's because you got clogged emitters in the last end of the line. No fun. Good. Remember to check that 80 mesh and see how it's holding up. Yeah, I have it's an 80 mesh disc filter actually. Somewhere on my channel there's a video here on disc filters. If you're not familiar with disc filters and you need filtration for anything, look into disc filters. It'll save you so much time and energy. So easy to clean, so simple, and they're not that expensive. You gotta hunt around to find a decent price. There's a couple places that'll try to rip you off. But man, they're awesome, awesome tool. So yeah. How's your season going out there, Justin? Things all growing good? Do I grow any plants indoor, like for salads in the winter? No, not as of yet. I get questions like that all the time, and to be honest, when the summer growing season is over, I'm kind of relieved to have that little bit of break. So it's not so bad to pull some plants into the greenhouse and keep them watered to kind of winter them over, but I don't really much feel like trying to keep up with growing plants 365 days a year. One thing I do want to do in the greenhouse, I've been meaning to get back to this for a couple of years now, and maybe this winter I'll actually get to it, is sprouting greens, like sprouting fodder greens for the chickens for feed. Because I understand you can grow a significant amount of chicken feed that way by sprouting the seeds for like, I think it's like 3 to 5 days, something like that, and then feeding it to the chickens. Sprouting the seed improves the nutritional quantity, like, I don't know, like 10 times or something like that. And then you know, it reduces the cost of feeding the chickens and improves the nutrition, especially over the winter when they don't have access to regular greens. So that is one thing I do want to do, and that's not a high management thing. That's like, you know, soak some seeds, dump them over to the next tray the next day. You just keep rotating. So every day, you know, as I stoke the fire, I could switch over to the next batch without a lot of hassle. Yeah, it is a good thing to take a break. I'm not a person who really takes breaks easily. I don't like let myself take breaks much. So the winter is kind of my, like, just an opportunity to not feel under the pressure of plants, so that when spring comes back, I'm eager to grow plants again, rather than just worn out by it. Like by springtime, I'm worn out with stoking fires and being in a greenhouse, and by fall, I'm worn out with growing plants and dealing with all that, and I'm glad to just fall back to the greenhouse. So there is some advantage to the season, although I'm not a huge fan of winter. Going good, getting Canna trees. Awesome, Justin. They were getting pretty good size the last pics I saw, so I got to imagine they've only gotten bigger. A lot of chicken rabbit feed from sprouts. Yeah, exactly, Geeky. Exactly. It's something I looked into a couple years back, and then, like, when I went to look at actually doing it, I wanted to order a significant amount of seed to make it worthwhile, and like at the time, like the seed I was going to order was like $75, and then like another $50 in shipping, and I didn't have the money, and it just fell off the radar because there's too many other things going on. I always have too many irons in the fire, so it's just the nature of things. But anyway, hopefully this year I'll get back to that and get that rolling. I'm trying to focus more on cover crops this year, so that'll make that type of seed more available to me. And then if I can integrate that with cover crops and a little productive crop out of that, then maybe I can grow some of my own chicken feed, and that'll cut down the cost. You know, people always say, "Oh, you should just grow corn for your chickens," and it's like, I want to just feed them corn. Like, and by the way, do you have an idea how much corn you actually have to grow to feed chickens for a year? Anyway, that's that. So, yeah, I don't know. There's that. I don't know what else there is to say or talk about. Yeah. Yeah, YT. And honestly, even like this spring, I was still kind of like, well, this whole year has been screwy for me in more ways than I can even express. But like this spring, I was just like, I wasn't really into growing anything this year. I was like, well, maybe I'll take a year off. And then this whole COVID thing hit, and I was like, I guess I better grow some food just in case. This is what I've been practicing for 25 years. Now it's go time. Of course, the 1 year I might take a year off and just take a break. But whatever. Like I get into the growing season. And I love seeing those crops growing. I love interacting with them, watching them progress, and it lights my passion back up once I get back into it. Usually get your break in July or August, but a lot of my stuff is still growing. I would love to have a break in July or August. I'd love to have a break and go like off on a camping trip for like 2 weeks and just like be around Lake George in the mountains or something like that. But frankly, I just don't have the money to even go anywhere. So it's like, what would I do for 2 weeks off? I'd sit here thinking I should be doing something. So, yeah. On your lottery list. Oh, thanks. Make sure you save some of that money. Don't just give it all to the state and lottery plays. I wouldn't know what to do with myself if I had a whole bunch of money. I just want to open 15 more projects, and then I wouldn't have time to do them all. I'd love to be able to hire help for some of my projects. Like start 15 projects and assign people to handle some of the parts so I can really get at it, but maybe someday that'll work out. Maybe an apprentice. Yeah, actually that would be awesome. A beautiful young apprentice. Well, if you're going to wish, put you on my lottery list, but I haven't gotten a ticket in 20 years or more. Yeah, I buy a lotto ticket about once a year. I buy the Win for Life, like once a year. I figure if I win buying once a year, I was meant to win. But I just can't be bothered to pee money down the drain on lotto. Farm, you're doing the good, the bad, and the ugly collab with Geeky? I don't know. I saw that come up in my my notifications, but I haven't actually had a chance to go check it out. Then when the person is finally graduated, they're trusted with your farm for 2 weeks so you can take a vacation, run academic courses. Yeah. Well, that's why I tend to gear more toward education. It's funny because when I talk to people that know me in my life but don't know much about my YouTube channel or like kind of what I'm doing here, they always, oh, when are you going to scale the farm up and start, real production? And it's like, well, that's not really what it's about. This is more about educational stuff. They always think of it from like it's just a production perspective, and they don't see the broader scope of it. But I definitely do want to do academic courses. I want to do some honey beekeeping courses, but I feel like I need a little more experience before I start doing courses on that kind of stuff. But I did think about doing like an introduction to beekeeping kind of thing, so people could just come and like be around the hives, see the honeybees, get a chance to understand their life cycle, that kind of thing. $40 a month, 30 students in rotation, $1,200 a month, and probably more if you teach college students. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that sort of stuff is all on my mind, but kind of trying to build up momentum first. I'm at, let's face it, I'm a small channel still. I'm like 2.2, 2.3K subs. So I'm not huge yet, but I'm working in that direction. And yeah, free labor's handy. I thought about some sort of a summer camp kind of thing too. Like a day camp kind of thing. I don't know. I have lots of ideas. The other problem is I don't own the land here, so I don't know how to work that insurance and liability wise. Hey, Julia. What's going on? How are you? Getting ready for the paranormal portal? But that's a good idea, YT. And I'm thinking along those lines. I just haven't figured out how to go about doing that correctly. I tend to want to stay online because it's a little more flexible, and I really don't want all kinds of people showing up at my farm. I just don't want to be inundated regularly, I guess. And yeah, got to be careful of liability costs. Exactly. You got to be really careful about that. I mean, all it takes is $1 million lawsuit, and I'm negative income for the rest of my life. And without going into a lot of detail, I'm just getting out of one of those situations, so not looking to start another. I'm tired too, Julia. I don't know why. Usually Thursdays I come home just loaded with energy. I work hard all day and I come home all stoked up from working hard. And I want to work harder all night. Yeah! Go! But not today. Today I'm kind of tired. Anyway, Paranormal Portal is going to start up in about a minute or two. And I know most of you know about the Paranormal Portal, but for anybody who's watching this later on, go check out the Paranormal Portal with Brent Thomas. All sorts of paranormal investigations and conversations and all kinds of interesting stuff. If you're interested in Paranormal Portal, anything, or ghosts, or any of that kind of stuff, thank you, Geeky. Appreciate it. Brent's the place to go check that stuff out. So I hope you'll come join our little family over there. Check that out. Yes, that's another interest I have. Anyway, thank you everyone for coming in. Yeah, I beat you this time, Geeky, but 1 out of 10 is not bad, huh? Anyway, thank you everyone for coming in. I appreciate your support, and look forward to seeing you next live stream, probably Sunday night, or next week, whenever. I hope you all have a great evening, and we'll see you in the Paranormal Portal. Thanks for watching. Farmacy Seeds Network.